Right, so we're back for another deep dive,
Yeah.
and today we're going to be talking about something
Hmm.
I think pretty much anyone listening can relate to, which is improving English fluency.
Yeah.
We all know it's kind of a big deal these days, right? Like
Totally. Yeah.
being able to communicate effectively in English can like open up so many doors.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to dive into like 4 key habits that can really help you
Okay.
boost your English skills.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting about these habits is that they're not just like quick fixes or tricks.
Right.
It's more about like fundamental shifts in how you approach learning the language.
I think that's a great way to put it. Yeah. It's not about like cramming vocabulary or,
Yeah, exactly.
just memorizing a bunch of grammar rules. It's more about like developing these habits that will help you grow over time.
Exactly. And become like a more confident, fluent speaker in the long run.
Okay.
So, want to start with,
Habit number 1.
let's do it. And
Take
this
that.
is one we hear all the time, right?
Yeah.
Immersion? Yeah.
But what does it actually look like in practice?
Right. Well, like a lot of people think that immersion means you have to like pack your bags and move to,
Yeah.
an English speaking country.
Right. Like uproot your whole life. Exactly.
Exactly. But it doesn't have to be that drastic. You can create an immersive environment right where you are.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to do that is through the media you consume every day.
Mm.
So like think about it. Do you watch TV shows? Could you swap out your usual show
Mm-hmm.
for one in English, maybe with subtitles at first?
Oh, I love that.
Or if you're a big music fan,
Yeah.
you could try like focusing on English lyrics, maybe even singing along.
Yeah.
And it's really those small changes that can make a huge impact.
Totally. I'm remembering when I was like really trying to improve my Spanish, I switched my phone
Yeah.
settings to Spanish.
Oh, nice.
And it was so frustrating at first. Oh my gosh, like just trying to like
Help me out.
navigate, basic tasks. But
Absolutely.
honestly, it helped so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it
that's
just forced me to, think in Spanish and like use it every day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the key, right? Making English a natural part of your routine. But it's not just about passive exposure, right? It's about active engagement. And that brings us to our second habit.
Okay. Active reading and listening.
Yes.
So I guess just passively, listening to English or reading something in English isn't quite enough.
Right. I mean, think about it like this. It's like the difference between just hearing a song, right, and like really listening to the lyrics, paying attention to the words and like what they mean. So when you're reading an article in English, don't just like skim it, right? Like really dig in, underline key phrases, write down any questions that come to mind,
Well, that's good.
and even try to like summarize the main points in your own words.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's funny, like that reminds me of being in school, right?
Yeah.
And like teachers telling us to like
I
highlight
like everything.
the important parts of the textbook. And it's
Yeah,
like
right.
highlighting's not enough. Like you really have to engage with it.
Right. And like you were saying, even argue with it sometimes, right?
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
that's what helps you like actually remember the information and like
Absolutely.
use it.
Absolutely.
So that's active reading and listening.
Yes.
What's next?
All right. So our third habit is all about embracing mistakes.
Oh, okay. So this is a big one, I feel like.
Yes.
This is where a lot of people, myself included, kind of get tripped up. Because, making mistakes can be really discouraging,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to speak confidently.
absolutely. It's totally natural to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I think, what if we try to shift our perspective a bit?
Okay.
So instead of viewing mistakes as failures, what if we saw them as feedback?
Oh, I like that.
Like
Yeah.
each mistake is actually an opportunity to learn
Right.
and refine your skills.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like, you try something, it doesn't quite work out, you
Right.
get some feedback, you adjust, and you try again.
Yeah, I remember when I was first, really trying to improve my English, I used to get so, like, in my head about making grammar mistakes.
Yeah.
And then I realized, even native English speakers make mistakes.
All the time.
All the time, right?
Is it totally?
Like, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that leads us perfectly to our final habit,
Okay.
which is all about making this process enjoyable.
Oh, well,
Learning a language, it shouldn't feel like a chore.
yeah.
It should be a fun and enriching experience.
This is my favorite one, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, just think about things that you're already passionate about, right? things you love doing. Like,
Exactly.
are you into cooking? You could find English language recipes, cooking shows.
Oh, totally.
Like, are you a movie buff?
Yeah.
Start watching films in English with subtitles.
Exactly. And there are so many resources out there, right?
agree.
Like, you could join an online community of English learners.
That's a good one.
You could play word games. You could even attend language exchange events.
That's
It's all about finding ways to connect English to things you already enjoy
yeah.
so that learning becomes like a natural extension of your life.
I love it. I have it. So, okay, to recap, we talked about 4 key habits, right? Immersion,
Mm-hmm.
active reading and listening,
Mm-hmm.
embracing those inevitable mistakes,
Yes.
and like making the whole process enjoyable. And I think what's so cool is like how interconnected
They really are, yeah.
all of these are, right?
Yeah, I mean, they all work together, right, to create this holistic approach to language learning
Mm-hmm.
that is both effective and sustainable.
I love it. I love it. All right. So any final thoughts for our listeners today before we wrap up?
You know, I think just a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
As you go about your day-to-day, just think about your daily routine.
Okay.
Where could you create a little space for English?
That's good.
Maybe it's listening to a podcast during your commute. Maybe it's watching an English language news segment before bed.
Right.
It's just about those small, consistent actions that make a difference over time.
I love it. I love it. So to everyone listening out there, remember, like, learning English, it's a journey. It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about making progress.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, the more you embrace these habits, the more fluent and confident you'll become.
Absolutely.
And, you know, who knows? It might even open up some doors you never expected.
Exactly. The possibilities are endless.
All right. That's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next time.